Get up. We're going to take some time off, and just get up and keep fighting. Got a lot of things to fix. Been here before. Let's go. Obviously, anytime, I think there were some good moments in the run game today. Got ourselves behind the sticks a little bit in the second half on some of the runs there. So we'll look at everything right there. We know we have the guys up front to be able to do that. Obviously, we got to do a good job putting them in positions to succeed, and then we got to go execute. So, we'll look at everything. Running a bunch of different types of schemes, but we'll look at everything to see what we're doing well and treat this like a bye week here this weekend.
One of the things you talk about all the time, did you feel like they were more physical than you tonight?
Again, I don't think we played our brand of football or coached our brand of football today. Give them credit. They did a good job. And so, again, have to look at the tape, with how things kind of played out. With how things kind of played out there today, but we definitely, that's not to our standard in all phases and in coaching. So, we'll look at it and we'll get better from it.
Finger on.
I think, we've had some 3-and-outs. Obviously today had a couple 3-and-outs. Then we had the one drive that kind of got going, and then had to punt there around midfield, and then we had our 2 turnovers today. Obviously, that stalled out drives, which we've been pretty good at taking care of the football. Today, they made a couple plays. We got to be a little bit better with our fundamentals going to the ground there on the one fumble, but they made a couple plays and stalled out some of the drives with that.
Did it change how you?
Well, yeah, when you're down, 3 scores there in the fourth quarter, obviously it changes your approach of you got to go fast, you got to try to get as many possessions as you possibly can, you got to hit explosives, can't run quite as much right there in those scenarios. So yeah, obviously that changes your approach a little bit. Yeah, no, I mean, you look at every game, and then you look at ways how you can get better after every game. Win, lose, draw. You go back and you say, hey, how can we get better here? Yeah, no, not necessarily on that. Everyone just wants to get everything going and get it fixed. And saw a lot of great communication on the sideline today. A lot of the guys encouraging each other, picking each other up. Trying to, again, but all 3 phases weren't good enough today. Coaching wasn't good enough today. But as far as our sideline and the way the guys interact with each other on the sideline, now I get to see the initial part of it, and then I'm back on there for the offense or the defense or the special teams. But saw a lot of good communication on there today of what they were saying, and I don't see necessarily anything negative there if that's what you're referring to. But just guys wanting to work and to get it right.
How much Young Carter?
Obviously he didn't play today. He had the heel that was on the injury report the other day and wasn't able to go. It makes me confident. Guys we got in the room, coaches we got in the room, players we have in the room. This is life in the NFL. You're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs. We've been here before. Last year obviously we started out 4-2 as well. It was just a different way that we got there. So there is no panic on us. It's hey, get back up, go back to work. And get better from it. It's really that simple. But love the guys that we have. Love the coaches that we have. Obviously, this group of guys and group of coaches have been to the top of the mountain, been to playoffs, and figure out ways. And I know we can figure out ways to get this thing rolling. We've been good at that in the past, and we got to be good at that again. I mean, again, anytime that obviously a couple weeks ago against the Rams, it was good adjustments to lead that second half comeback. Obviously we've stalled out here the last last couple weeks here with our second half, there. But it's a combination of a lot of different things. It's hard to say, hey, this is all on this or this is all on that. Obviously, today it was all three phases there. That we and coaching, wasn't good enough on any of those, and I always would take responsibility of that as the head coach when that looks like that. But yeah, again, they did some. I wouldn't say they did anything drastically different than what happened in the first half. Again, we had a couple 3 and outs, and then we had a drive that stopped, and then we had a couple turnovers there. So, combination of different things. We got to be better as with our coaching. We got to be better with our execution. Yeah, again, you want to. We'll get back there and we'll look at the tape and we'll correct those things. You never want to come out of a game anything that requires talent beating you, and that's always going to be on me. Always. And so there were some things that we had today that probably a little uncharacteristic, but it's our job to get it fixed. I'm not saying that's concerning. I'm putting that on me because when we're in a team meeting, that's the things that we're going over. So you got to keep preaching it. You got to keep going after it. Be relentless with it. That's what my plan is to do. And like I said, I know we got the guys that, in that room that have a lot of faith in that. And I have a lot of faith in those guys, and I have a lot of faith in the coaches and the organization, and we'll get better from this.